Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Monday, April the 18th, and welcome to our commentary. One of the things that we do on Monday, and I just want to remind you of this, is that we will be recording our podcast with Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. We're going to be recording that later today, so it'll be available as a podcast later on this page. So check it out because we get into a lot of stories. We call it the Weekend Review, and it's usually a pretty interesting program. There's so many things to get into, including a Supreme Court decision here in the last few hours, where the Supreme Court refused to take, the case from California and New York challenging the 2017 tax law that was signed by President Trump. This was the tax law that limited how much of your state income taxes or taxes you could deduct from your federal income taxes. And it's a big blow. It's a huge blow to many of the high tax states like New York, California, Maryland, Illinois. It's a huge blow because those taxes are now going to be paid by the people in those states, and that's not going to be popular. But you know what? If they're going to have tax rates like that, they shouldn't expect people like us in Texas to subsidize them. So I think the Supreme Court make the correct decision in this respect. Again, the Supreme Court did not take the case, which is the same thing as saying that they're not going to issue an opinion on it. So that's a bad deal for states like California and New York and so on. Well, I have a post over at the American Thinker, and I want you to check it out. It's about President Biden and Hispanics and how the Hispanic population, the Hispanic voters, are really turned off by President Biden. The very latest poll, Quinnipiac, I think it is. I'm mispronouncing that, but I think you know which one I'm talking about. It's a university, and they do a poll. The very latest one has President Biden overall at 33, but with Hispanics at 29. That is a terrible number for a Democrat. And what I think is happening is, as I mentioned in my article, two things. Number one, you got to look at results. And the fact is that with the price of gasoline and the price of everything else, food, I mean, everything is going up. And that is hitting a lot of families, a lot of Hispanic families right between the eyes. I think the other thing that is going on, and we've been writing about this for quite some time, and that is that the Democrat Party, the National Democrat Party, has gone way too far to the left. And they left behind a lot of Hispanics who are more centrist and more conservative. And that's, I think, the other thing that is happening with the Democrats and with President Biden. So we'll get into this today with Bill. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about a lot of things going on, and not any of them, frankly, very good for President Biden or the Biden presidency in general. I do have a couple of thoughts about Twitter and Elon Musk. Look, I've never seen anything like this before, where a guy is trying to buy a company. He makes a pretty good offer, and I guess the board of directors or whatever does not want to entertain the offer. Well, first of all, they better entertain the offer because they're taking money out of the shareholders' pockets if they don't. So I think eventually they're going to have to accept the offer. But the way that everybody's reacting to this, especially on the left, I mean, you've got silly reactions like people, a writer with the Washington Post is saying that it's not a good idea for a rich person to own a newspaper or a media company. Has anybody told this lady who wrote that article that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post? Does she know that? I mean, that's amazing to me. She doesn't even know who owns their company. And then you have other people, almost saying that somehow Elon Musk is going to take away your rights. No, he's not going to take anybody's rights. He's going to let you post whatever you want to post. That's it. It's as simple as that. The problem with Twitter, as anybody who uses Twitter knows, is that Twitter became, very much a one-sided affair. It would censor information in one direction and not the other. And I think the ultimate point of this, the pinnacle of this was the Hunter Biden article back in 2020 when, Twitter basically said, we're not going to print that. And in the process, denying the American people an opportunity to have the discussion we're having now. This conversation that we're having now about, Hunter Biden and the relationship that he may have had with his father, we should have had this conversation in 2020 when Joe Biden was a candidate for president. But Twitter and Facebook, frankly, as well as other media and newspapers and so on, did not want this conversation during the campaign. And I think they hurt themselves a great deal. That is, these media organizations. And that's why I think a fellow like like Elon Musk, coming in and disinfecting Twitter would actually be a very good thing for the organization. So I'm behind Elon Musk on this one. I don't personally know Elon Musk. All I know about him is that he's a very successful businessman who created Tesla. And, that's as far as I know. But in this particular case of Twitter, I think he's doing the right thing. And if anybody at Twitter is afraid of free speech, then maybe they should move to North Korea or move to Cuba or move to China. Those are the countries where free speech is restricted, not the United States. And I'll say it again. If I post something and you don't like it, you don't have to read it. You can delete me. You can delete me and not have to read what I'm writing. And I can do the same thing to you. But Twitter should not be doing that in one direction, as we have seen here for quite some time. I mean, look, I think social media has really disgraced itself in the way they've censored political debate. And I think this is turning. And when the Republicans take over Congress in November, I think this is going to change even further from a regulatory standpoint. Well, thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. Don't forget to check out our podcast with Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. We should have it up on our page later this afternoon. And it's always a great one. And we're going to get into a lot of issues of the week. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. And if I can get this thing to turn off, then I won't have to say goodbye 5 times. Goodbye, everybody. And thank you for